Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And today we're going to be looking forward to a big encounter in Gameweek 22, which is probably going to be part of a double game week for both of our guests. But at time of recording, we don't know it for sure yet. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Burnley correspondent, Jack Toner. How are you, Jack?
I'm very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, mate. And also let me introduce you to our Leicester City correspondent, Aaron Lagor. How are you, Aaron?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Good to be here.
Good man. Right. As per usual, we must timestamp this at the moment. We are pre-recording this on Tuesday evening, January the 4th. No doubt it'll be a fixture announcement by the time this goes out, because that's the way it tends to work for us, unfortunately. Although I'm not expecting one till probably Friday at the earliest, but we do think, I've said, Burnley and Leicester, I think, are almost certain for a double game week. But before we get onto that, Jack, what's going on with the Clarets at the moment, mate? It feels like not all is well.
Yeah, I can agree with that one. Thing with the thing that's been winding me up is just how we've set up against the teams around us. We've had one win out of our first 17 games, and that was against Brentford, and we was absolutely superb in the first half. Best I've seen us play in ages. We've strung together, I think it's like something like 7 draws. So the teams above us, we've been not too bad against, but then you're looking at, we've only took a point off Norwich at home, lost away at Newcastle, drawn and lost against Leeds, and lost against Everton. So they're out. The bottom 6 clubs around us. We've done absolutely nothing. You go to United, you don't expect anything, but performance was there. And then Leeds at the weekend again was just a tough one to take. I mean, to be fair, CotC just gave away the first goal pretty much. But yeah, I think that's it. Last season was the same against the bottom sides. Out of the 10 games we played against the bottom 6, we only picked up 11 points. Was 2 wins. That was it against the bottom 6. So, and we only scored 7 goals. So I think we're setting up for those games, sort of not wanting to lose rather than going out to win. Perhaps it's a mentality issue, because like I said, in the other games we've not been too far away.
You just blew my mind when you said you'd only won 1 game. I had to double check it.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. And that 1 win against Brentford, you're absolutely outstanding, obviously, particularly in that first half. That's bad, isn't it? 1 win in 16. But then you look at it, you've only lost 7. That's the same amount as Arsenal.
Yeah.
It made me think when I looked at the goals at Leeds and watching the highlights of the game, it felt like overplaying was costing you a little bit. And obviously they come and hunt in packs, Leeds. Do you think the form is a consequence of trying to change style a bit?
Not particularly. I think if I remember rightly, we got beat off Leeds twice last season as well. So perhaps Leeds isn't the best one to look at, because they are a bit of an anomaly in sort of how they play and where they are in the league anyway. The thing for me is that I expect us to have a little bit more, we'll be a bit more resolute about our defending, and it just wasn't, like you said, it wasn't the Burnley-like performance where it's like bodies on the line. Every second ball they were picking up, it was just, I mean, Dyche said it himself, they just wasn't hungry enough. Leeds wanted it, which for how many, we've missed a few games because of COVID and stuff. So we'd have thought going into that, we should have been a lot more fresher than Leeds with their injuries as such. So yeah, massive disappointment. But I don't necessarily think it's, I thought we had enough to at least shape up and get a point away at Leeds. We just need to be picking up points, and quickly, especially against a team like Leeds. We don't want to be giving them the 3 points.
No, get that completely. Do you feel this might be the season? Because I'm very much, that I'm in camp that you'll be all right, but I am nervous for you looking at the fixtures to come. We know you've obviously got 4 games to rearrange, and actually they're decent games which you need to rearrange as well. But yeah, the fixtures in front of us: Leicester at home, Arsenal away, United at home, Liverpool at home, Brighton away, Palace away, Chelsea at home, takes us up to game week 28. That period probably makes you quite nervous as well, I should imagine.
Yeah, definitely. But then, having said that, we've, looking back last season, we did nothing against the teams around us as well. So perhaps it could be the sort of kick up the backside that we need. But you just, no one wants to be going into that run needing to pick up points. It's more a case of where, if you're looking over your shoulder a bit, it can get, you can pick up points a little bit more comfortably. Whereas now you're looking into that, and we don't want to be going 3 games without a win or without a draw. But it's what you expect really from a team like us. But then this season we've picked up points against Leicester, Chelsea, and West Ham. So it's just, we can do it, and we've put in good performances against the other big sides. So yeah, definitely, I think this season is one that I'm definitely worried about a lot more than last season. That's for sure.
We've also got the advantage. You still got to play Tottenham twice as well, Jack. So I'm sure there'll be some points on the board for you there as well. Do you think you're on 11 points from 16? Newcastle on the same, but played 19. Norwich are 1 point behind that, played 19. Watford are 2 points ahead of you, 13, but played 2 more. Do you deem the games in hand as an advantage or not?
Potentially, but then you've still got to win them. You still got to take points off them. You look at a game in hand and you start counting your points before you've got them. It depends. I mean, playing regular football, notoriously with the way Dyche gets depicted, is he sort of used to the same group of lads playing Saturday, Tuesday? Will it suit us? Possibly. If we're having a few games in a short space of time. We're obviously losing Cornet, who's been our best player this season, arguably, till the end of potentially the end of the African Cup of Nations. So if some of those games are rearranged afterwards and he comes back fit enough, then yeah, you can look at it either ways. You've still got to pick the points up, but it could still, it could work in our favour to have those gains, especially after a transfer window as well, if we were to spend any money.
Do you see anyone other than the 4 teams I've mentioned being dragged into it? Or do you think it's...
I don't think so. I think it's
you think one from the 4 will stay up?
Yeah, which is a worry when you know how much cash Newcastle have got to spend.
They're obviously going to spend some, it's clear.
But that doesn't guarantee you anything, I suppose. But it's still another worry.
Okay. Interesting stat for you, Aaron, to bring you into the conversation. You conceded 6 more goals than Burnley this season. 33 goals conceded. The flip of that, 31 scored from 18's not bad. What you made of this season? You've had some incredible games in there, obviously beating United 4-2, beating Liverpool 1-0 last week. Reminds us that there is a very good side there. And obviously the Liverpool win was particularly special with the amount of players you had absent. Where are you at the moment?
We're in a bit of a mess, really. If you look at our injury list, the games that we've got coming up, we're not in a good place, really, squad-wise and stuff. Obviously, we're losing players to the African Cup of Nations now, like a lot of teams are, but, particularly, two quite important players for us with Ndidi and CotC going, who would be starting at the moment, obviously. So, yeah, it's not looking good. I think we probably need to go into the market, even if it's just for some loan signings at the back, because we're so depleted at the back. All right, even when we've had a fully fit back 4 this season, or back 3, whatever he's played, it's not been particularly solid, has it? So, yeah, it's worrying, really. We have got a couple that will be, coming back soon. Sionchu and Evans aren't too far away, but they're probably 2 or 3 weeks away, and that's from being fit, I suppose. But yeah, it's not looking good.
To sum up what Aaron is saying, there are 11 red flags on Leicester players at the moment. And obviously, it's worth saying the Burnley fixtures obviously on Saturday week. You do have a fixture obviously before that. Within this game week 21, obviously the rearranged fixture with Everton next Tuesday. As it stands, you haven't got a forward available for the Everton game, as far as I can see. Iheanacho has obviously gone to AFCON, as well as Wilfred and Didi. Daka and Vardy, the reports were 3 weeks out. Who do you think will play through the middle at Everton?
It's hard to say. I suppose Lookman could play up there. If Barnes is back, I guess he could play up top. There's not a lot there, is there, really? I think Daka's a couple of weeks away. So, he'd have been perfect, wouldn't he, to come straight in for Vardy. But this is the thing. You try and bolster the squad, and then you get these injuries and stuff. We seem to have quite a lot of midfield players available, but Ndidi's been playing at the back, hasn't he, for the last 2 or 3 games? So, yeah, it looks pretty desperate at the moment.
It feels like we've spent a lot of the season moaning about Iheanacho and Daka's lack of minutes, and ironically, for different reasons, now neither of them are available when Vardy's absent. I agree with you that I think Barnes or Lookman, possibly even together to help each other, maybe might be a solution. Of course, Ayoze Perez is very used to playing that position, that's another solution, isn't it?
He doesn't particularly come to the forefront of my mind because I don't really rate him, to be honest. But he has played up there on his own before, so it's probably a fair shout. He may even get the nod, and then maybe Barnes and Lookman are in behind or in a wide position possibly. Lookman's looked really good of late when he's come on and played well in the time he got in the Liverpool game. Looks dangerous. So, yeah.
So, again, just referring back to the FPL website, if I look at your defenders that are not red flagged on the FPL website at the moment, you got Castagna, Luke Thomas, Yannick Vestergaard, who I think is underwhelmed really since his purchase.
I could say that.
And you got a couple of youngsters, Daly Campbell and Nelson. And obviously, as you said, and Diddy has been kind of filling in to make up for that loss. But we're not really expecting any of Siunshu, Pereira, Evans, Amati's obviously gone to AFCON as well, Bertrand, James, Justin, or Wesley Fofana. We're not expecting any of them to be back for probably even the Burnley game, never mind the Everton game. What's the solution? I got thinking random stuff like, could he play Tielemans at centre-back or Samari?
Well, I can't see that. I mean, there are reports that Bertrand might be available. It's going to be touch and go, but it might be available.
Okay.
But that doesn't really help us because he's a left back, really. And we've got Thomas who's fit. So unless he goes to like a back three, possibly. But then that's pretty weak. You're looking at playing Castagna, Vestergaard, and possibly Bertrand in a back three. Would be a bit worrying.
Or I guess another solution, just looking at it, would be maybe, yes, you could do a back three, or I'm not sure you'd want to play Luke Thomas in a back three.
No,
you could play
really.
Castagna with Vestergaard. It's pretty patched up, and play Albrighton at right back. Might be another possible solution.
Possibly. Yeah.
But, I mean, you're walking
That's
with
so weak, isn't it? Oh, no, it's so worrying, really. Yeah.
Jack, do you feel better now?
Obviously, makeshift.
We'll still get beat.
Yeah.
It's not the sort of, in all seriousness, though, I know the Everton game's first, but Burnley you don't want to go to Burnley with that many absentees. It's particularly winter time and stuff. You just feel like the writing's on the wall. Ironically, it's a very suitable game, you would think, for Vestergaard, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think it's not really worked out for him? I felt like it was a panic buy a bit. Didn't really fit the profile of player that you wanted when you were kind of trying to replace Fofana.
I did feel a bit like that. I think he was obviously available. We needed cover, and maybe they just thought it'd be a short-term fix and he wouldn't really get a lot of game time. It has worked out a little bit like that because he hasn't played an awful lot, but he has sort of dropped off a little bit. I mean, I've heard some reports that Southampton were kind of, pretty glad to see the back of him, really, which...
He had an outstanding season last year, certainly in the first half.
I mean, it was one of them where when he first went in there at Saints, I thought, I'm not sure about this guy. But
I wasn't either.
As he was longer at the club, he kind of developed, and I thought he looked pretty solid, actually. So I actually thought when we signed him, he'd pretty decent cover. But yeah, he's lost. I mean, he's never been the quickest anyway, has he really? But he's certainly lost, a bit of pace and looks really off it. I think he's just confident. He's got no confidence either. So it doesn't help with the fact, like we've spoke about for a lot for these COTCs throughout the season, it's just been so unsettled at the back there for him. There's no sort of continuity there, is there? So it doesn't help a player like that who's coming into a new club. So
yeah, absolutely. So no, go on. On seriousness, Jack, you must hear what Aaron's saying there and think.
Yeah,
I mean, target. You must do.
In all seriousness, like I've said before, I would expect us to go. I'll wake up the morning of the Leicester game and I'll be confident because I know how we set up against those sorts of sides. I just don't know what it is, but for the past, I just put it down to last year was no supporters. I thought those are the sorts of games where you want to get behind us, but this season's been the same, and we've got fans, so they can't use that excuse. But yeah, I've no issue with that. I think obviously if they've got injuries, it's the sort of game that, like you said, defo want to be aiming for 3 points because I'd rather it looks an easier task to get it at home to Leicester than away to Arsenal or home to Man United.
What Burnley assets you got at the moment, Jack?
None. I had Wood. I held him through some of the easier fixtures, but no, he was a bit of a bad punt for me, really. In hindsight, should have gone for Cornet, but obviously not going for him at the moment with him being in AFCON. But yeah, he'd be the one, if he wasn't there.
I feel like Chris Wood's form is a major reason why you're you're struggling at the moment because he always goes in kind of little spurts in terms of
I agree with that.
Suddenly he's played 6 games, he scored 5 goals. You're like, oh, I wasn't considering him. How did that happen? But he's also got a bad injury record. But he started every game for you this season. 3 goals.
Yeah.
It's a bit surprising, actually.
Yeah.
Those goals coming in home fixtures against Leeds, Brentford, and Palace, which are games that you all got points out. 5 points involved in those fixtures as well. Is there anything wrong with him, particularly at the moment?
Some of it's a service issue. We've sort of seen him come as Cornet's been playing there, and Lennon played there against United, and I must add that he had an absolutely superb game. So we've kind of found a little bit of a partnership with a big man, little man sort of thing. And Dyche doesn't seem to be favouring Vidra whatsoever. So Vidra was fit and decided to play Aaron Lennon alongside Wood, which was a strange one, but it worked. But yeah, so I think at times Wood's been the one coming in and doing a bit more sort of tracking back, sort of trying to flick the ball on for the sort of supporting striker. So that's had its impact, but ultimately as well, some of the crossing's not been great. It's not as if, I can turn around and say Wood's had 4 or 5 chances a game to miss, because it's just not been the case. So yeah, he does go on streaks. He's a confidence player. You talk about that strike against Brentford, and he took that, unbelievably well. And I sort of thought, oh, here we go. He's turned the corner. Stuck with him from a fantasy team, because, like you said, he's one of those where you can just blink and you think, well, hold on a second, he scored, like you said, in back-to-back games for 3 or 4 game weeks. But yeah, I mean, it does help, especially with the way we play. If we're not scoring goals, you're never going to win games, are you? We're usually pretty tidy at the back, so it only takes a couple. But yeah, we're just not scoring enough, and especially with Cornet being injured, there's a definite lack of goals.
Former Leicester player as well, isn't he, Aaron? What are your thoughts on Chris Wood?
Yeah, he's good striker, really. I mean, he did a decent job for us, actually, in the Championship. He's obviously gone up another level as well. He always seems to get a goal against us, actually.
He does have a decent record against you.
He does, yeah. I think he's a banker to score against us, to be honest.
His statistics would probably suggest otherwise, Aaron.
Well, I know, but these funny things like this happen in football, don't they? Yeah, he's good. He's a good striker. I always felt he was always dangerous in and around the box, and obviously clearly very good in the air. So it's weird to see, really, how he's struggled so much this year. But Burnley in general do struggle for goals around the rest of the team, don't they? So
yeah,
they are quite heavily reliant on people like Wood and Vidra to get the goals.
Yeah, what I find surprising about it, Jay, is that you've actually got a little bit of a run out of Goodmanson, who we know is never more than the game away from an injury. I think he's a player a lot of people we like, but I know you'd kind of given up on him through unreliability, and pretty much since I saw you say that, he's played every game, basically.
Yeah.
You would think with the service from him and McNeil on either side, and both fullbacks can deliver, in fairness as well, in Taylor and Lowton, that the service would be there at the moment, but it doesn't feel like it is.
No, it's not been. The output from him this season's just not been there at all, really.
From specifically Wood, or delivery in terms of his service?
From Goodmanson, I just don't feel like, I think his injuries have really started to take his toll on him now. We were crying out for another winger, which is why we signed Cornet. He ended up being out of position playing up front, because he just sort of somehow managed to slot himself in there. But it's not sort of solved that issue on the wings. We tried McNeil out on the right, and to be honest,
don't say it, Jack. Don't say it.
It's worked to some, but again, he's not had as many contributions going forward and stuff as what I would have liked. He does like to drift into central areas, and he is dangerous there, but there's not enough forward runs. We've got too many bodies behind the ball for something like that to work. So if McNeil's running through the middle in a side that's committing body toward, if McNeil was in that lead side at the weekend, he would have probably got 3 assists. It would have been the way it's worked. But for us, we've got to work that a lot. It's a lot more hard work for us to work the ball into the box with the way we play. So yeah, Goodmanson's been a real disappointment, really.
Goodmanson's actually appeared in every Premier League game for you so far this season, either started or from the bench. McNeil has started every game, 2 assists between the two of them. And we know that your midfield combinations of Brownhill, Westwood, Cork, whoever plays in there, they're not going to get a load either. So if your front man's misfiring, there's no goals in the team, mate.
No, that's exactly it. You know, we're always good from a set piece, you know, but you can't rely on corners all the time. The Cornet's free kick
against Leicester, Aaron will tell you about that.
Yeah. Well, then the Liverpool game.
You fixed it. Yeah.
Cornet's free kick against Leeds was, I think, our first free kick we've scored in since about 2017 or something.
You're going to say Stephen Defoe at Man United or something?
Yeah, exactly that one.
There you go. There you go. Very good. Did you change defensively against Liverpool, Aaron? Because you still conceded a load of corners in the game, but you seem to defend them a lot better. It looked like there was something different going on that finally the penny might have dropped, actually.
Well, I think they've abandoned this zonal marking. I mean, it's not worked all season. And they've stuck at it. I mean, it was clear to see in the Chelsea game where Rudiger just ran off one of our players, like sneaked in at the near post, and everyone's standing about watching. We're like, I've never been a particular fan of zonal marking. I just don't think it's worked. So they went man for man, and you know they had a lot more success with it. So
most tend to have a balance between the two now, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you mentioned that Rudiger goal. It was like an exact copy of a goal I saw 2 weeks earlier scored by Gabriel. It's like the same goal.
I know. It seems as if, I don't know whether there's some communication breakdown there at the back or whether it's just the coaching, because it just seems like we were making so many mistakes and the same mistakes, like you say, every other week. It was like a carbon copy of different goals. And it was like, when are we going to learn from this? But yeah, I don't know what happened in the Liverpool game. It was just one of them games, you know, as soon as Salah misses the penalty, you know, Schmeichel makes that save, it all goes for us, doesn't it? Mane skies one, you know, which he should have put away. It was just one of them, you know, and we defended so well. I mean, every time they got a corner, my heart was in my mouth because, you know, just with our record this year. But yeah, it was unbelievable. But yeah, hopefully they've, you know, stumbled across something that's obviously working.
It's difficult to say when we don't know the game week 22 outlook. Yeah, Aaron, are you planning to use any chips in that game week as it stands?
Difficult to say. I guess I've got kind of free hit in the back of my mind. But the players that I've got with the kind of single game week fixtures, yeah, like the West Ham boys and stuff, you know, Leeds at home isn't a bad fixture, is it? So yeah, it's up in the air. It's like you say, is the way the fixtures land. If some of the doubles are amazing, then I might go for the free hit. But if I can get through it without it, then I'll probably do that, to be honest.
And yourself, Jack?
Yeah, the only one will be free hit. I'm not even contemplating a bench boost when I know that 3 of them could drop with COVID the day before. Yep. So if it's any, it's going to be free hit.
It'll make both of you two potentially very interesting, though. That's part why I asked the question. So, Jack, I'd be staggered if you don't have a double game week in game week 22 when you've got 4 fixtures to rearrange. You've got Villa away, Everton at home, Tottenham at home, Watford at home to rearrange. As I've said on the recent podcasts, I'm fairly confident you're going to play Watford on Tuesday the 18th, which will give you a double game week of Leicester at home, a weakened Leicester, and Watford at home. People are going to want a Burnley defensive player on that, aren't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. The only issue is some of the fixtures that come afterwards. So, you know, if you are free hitting, sort of the luxury of that is you're getting a differential that unless someone's on a free hit, they've more than likely not going to go there. You know, you can sort of make up a bit of ground with that. But yeah, you know, Loughton's been our highest scoring FPL player. He's 4.4 in defence, so he's one to look at. Mentioned him earlier as well, Lennon. You know, if he you know sort of keeps his place in the team with Cornet being at AFCON, if he's still being an OOP, you know, playing alongside Wood, if that's where
really
he does play him.
Does feel like a gamble. 4.9 Aaron Lennon.
Yeah, but then if he's still in and around the team, he did play really, really well against United. Some mad stat about something. The only 2 players to have scored in 2005 season and this season is Ronaldo and Aaron Lennon. So he's definitely getting on a bit, but he didn't seem like it. He was running around like mad. He covered some distance. But yeah, he would, like you said, he would be a very, very big differential pick.
I have so much love for Azza. from his Tottenham spell, obviously, but I cannot advise anyone to be doing that.
But then I wouldn't want to go JBG or Gudmundsson or McNeil on the stats we've seen. So
I think if you were free hitting, the only attacking one you would consider is Wood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
At 6.7, which I don't think, like, for those two home fixtures, if that's how it turns out, I don't think that's too bad. But I think even for that, Wood would only be a free hit consideration. I don't think you wouldn't buy him into your team at the moment. Defensively, if money's no object, forget the pricing of the players. One game week, Leicester at home, Watford at home. If that's how it drops, which one would you want? You can include the goalkeeper if you want.
Depends if you're thinking more set pieces, it's going to be Tarkowski or Ben Mee from a header. But then it's still a big punt, isn't it? We're seeing Loughton and Taylor sort of bombing down the wings a little bit more. So yeah, it's a real toss up really between the four.
Part of the reason I say that is if we're looking at double game week and people maybe free hitting, I can see people going without too many premiums. So I don't think money's not going to be a problem. So if people prefer Tarkowski over Loughton, they'll go Tarkowski over Loughton. I think people just be drawn to, okay, Loughton's got the most points, but actually in a double game week, the most likely returner is Tarkowski, isn't it?
I'd be more tempted to probably say Loughton. It's very, very drastic, but I sort of see a little bit of similarities in the 2018 season when we played Everton around New Year's Day. We got battered I think it was 5-1 or something.
Yeah,
like
Boxing
that.
Day, I think it was, wasn't it?
Boxing Day, sorry, yeah. And it was like, a massive change was needed. So Joe Hart came in, club captain Tom Heaton went back in goals for us, and Dwight McNeil was one of the ones that got brought in the team, and he never looked back since. So whether after Leeds, there's been a bit of a meltdown really on Twitter. I've stayed off the Bird app. So whether we think, some sort of change is needed.
Understandable, that, Jack.
Yeah. Yeah. But Tarkowski's made a couple of bad errors this season. He gave one away for Southampton. Cost us points in that game, and then he didn't have the best of games again on, this weekend. So whether, because Collins is a ready-made replacement, whether there's bits of question marks with Tarkowski being out of contract in the summer, whether that's one where it's an obvious, if you want to change the side, Collins coming in for Tarkowski is, there's potential in that. But yeah, it would be a bit drastic for Dyche to do that. But I would say, Loughton's definitely going to be playing both. So
I might not free hit. It obviously depends how the fixtures land, but I also could do. But I've got a Diogo Dalot sized problem. Matt Loughton is basically the same price, and I was asked at the weekend, like, defensive budget options under 4.5, and I have to say, considering the potential fixtures we might have, there aren't glaringly brilliant options. And it always lingers in my mind, Jack, what you always say to me about, we'll get clean sheets when you least expect it. I'm looking at that run and I'm thinking, no, there ain't any there, but I remember your words and how often you're right about it. And I think someone like Loughton is a great kind of second, third sub, just generally, isn't he? I'll put him in there and forget about him. And I might even make that move, possibly play him in 22. And then if, suddenly it lands at, say, Palace away and Everton at home in 27, I go, okay, that's a nice double. Okay, I'll play him again. Otherwise, just leave him as a sub. I'm thinking that. Does 4.4 feel a bit expensive to you to do that?
It's there and thereabouts, isn't it? I mean, there's players like Johnson, I suppose, that is he 3.9 or 4 now, that you can punt on. But yeah, I think the one beauty with any Burnley assets is you pretty much know that they're going to start every game and play 90 minutes, whether it's Saturday, Tuesday, if that's the way it falls, if it's a double. So yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's too expensive. Like you said, are you really buying Loughton to start him away at Arsenal? At home to United, you're not. But if he's with COVID absentees, is he one of those that you can think to have on the bench? He's going to play 90 minutes every week, and there is always the added bonus of picking up those clean sheets when you least expect it.
Yeah, he's definitely under consideration for me for exactly that. But I think if I was free hitting, I'd pay you a little extra for Tarkowski. I think in your case, Aaron, we can just narrow this straight down into the midfield area. Now, I pretty much think that you're going to play Tottenham in game week 22, which would obviously give you a double of Burnley away, Tottenham at home. There is a quirk depending on certain things that might happen with cup postponements, which is difficult to say at the postponement, which might bring the Norwich fixture back to the table. Now, suddenly, if it's Burnley away and Norwich at home, That's amazing, isn't it? We've got to go and punt something, haven't we?
Yeah, I think if you're on free hit, you could go there, couldn't you? And even after that game, we have Brighton at home, haven't we? So it could be kind of a 3-game stint if you look at it like that. But yeah, you'd have to be an attacking player for sure.
We're only looking at the midfield. It's worth saying at the time of recording, I'm pretty sure that Leicester will play Tottenham. I've said this on the other pods, Aaron, your need for arranging fixtures is as important as anyone's because your involvement in that Europa Conference League, which is worth saying, bookies have you done as favourites to win at the moment. That's unless my team obviously gets reinstated, which it won't, Aaron. Midfield wise, Harvey Barnes is on my radar. Now, I owned that prat from game week 1 and did nothing for me. And every week
I went, it.
Yeah, I know. But it was quite amusing. Every week I kept going, I'm not even that bothered. I'll keep him, actually. I think he's going to do something soon.
Between stubbornness
and eventually eventually got injured. It's like, fine, I'm going to have to. I'm
You'd have had a great season if you sold him game week 2.
Probably, absolutely. But I do really rate him as a player, Aaron, and I think there could be some merit in saying that he could even play. We'll obviously get information from the Everton fixture, which will give us real clues before, because nobody should be making a decision prior to that anyway. Mm-hmm. Give us some real clues about the possibility that he could be OOP in game week 22. And if he plays up front at Everton, he's going to be on a lot of free hit teams, I think, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah. No, I think it's a fair shout. I guess Maddison's the other one you could look at. But he's obviously had a little injury, didn't he? So hopefully he's got over that. But yeah, I think it's a fair shout. If it's a 3-week punt or getting him on a free hit, I don't think you can really go wrong.
Do you think they'll both have recovered from the hangover at the darts?
Yeah.
Might have COVID from the darts, yeah.
Well, I think
so true, Jack. Isn't it handy that Everton game's first?
Yeah. Well, Barnes had COVID anyway. That was why he was out. So yeah, it's.
He didn't go to the darts with COVID, did he?
Let's hope not.
No, let's not. I agree. I think Maddison will get just as much attention because look, he was obviously in some good form as well.
Yeah.
Yuri Tielemans shouldn't be ruled out though. He'd be dead consistent, won't he? 6.4. Yeah. I don't think he's a longer term interest by. I mean, we say that he's got 70 points.
Yeah,
he's only 12 behind Maddison. He's consistent isn't he? And I guess with Vardy out, he'll be on the pens, won't he? Yuri Tielemans.
Yeah, because Iheanacho takes the odd one, but yeah, Tielemans will definitely be on the pens. So if that double lands, Tielemans might not be a bad shout.
Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to kind of commit to what I like most. I think it's Barnes, but I just think the Everton game's really handy because we're all going to get clues about what's likely to happen with potentially the Burnley Tottenham game afterwards. So I mean, that's a must-watch fixture, which obviously is live on Sky next.
I mean, if he's an OOP and Perez plays up top, does that change your opinion?
To be honest, even if Perez is playing up front, I would not buy a Jose Perez.
No, and to not do that.
I think Barnes or Maddison, exactly what you said, and maybe even Tielemans, you could look at it and go, yeah, do you know what? I'll have for the double. I'll have for 23. Could even be, say I've got Bernardo Silva, for example. I might look at it. I've got Bernardo against Chelsea. Do you know what? I'll have the Leicester doubler. I'll have Brighton at home. I've got loads of money in the bank. Go straight to Salah when he plays you in 24 because your fixture run after the Brighton game, not that Brighton's an easy game, by the way, is not good. Liverpool away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Chelsea away. 2 after that is Arsenal away. 2 after that's Manchester United away. So it's a really tough run coming for you as well, actually. So I don't think I'd want longer term investment with Leicester. And then that makes me think, do I want to buy a player I know I'm only keeping for 2 factual game weeks? Because whoever it is, I don't think I'd want them sitting there for Liverpool away and the start of that run. No. It would definitely want to go for me.
Yeah. And I mean, if we played you in the double, that's not as appealing, is it? Not in my eyes, anyway.
We're definitely better defensively.
Yeah, you are.
At the moment, Aaron. To be honest, we can't even advise talking about Leicester defensively assets at the moment because there's only a couple available. I don't think Castagna would be so punty. But do you know what? For a free hitter, I wouldn't mind it that much. I just think there's too many issues defensively. Yeah. I think if you land with that double, Burnley away and Tottenham at home, I think most will want one of those midfield assets on a free hit. And I think others like me could consider it really short term to buy if the free hit doesn't come round. What do you make of it, Jack, on Leicester?
Yeah, Barnes is probably the one that I would be most tempted with. I think it's always hard as well, especially when it's against your team. You don't.
No, of course.
You don't really want to be, sort of looking at where the points are coming from the opposition team. But yeah, no. With that being said, we've talked about our, a lack of creativity from the wingers and Wood being out of form. So that, even if it is a makeshift Leicester defence or whatever, if you're punting on a free hit, that's sort of what you're looking for either way, either side of the stats, I would imagine.
Yeah, that I think Jack raised a good point there, and I could bring Castagna back to the table actually. Tottenham, if you keep Kane and Son quiet, mate, it's not exactly going to be free flowing with goals, and Burnley aren't at the moment either. And we've just seen from the Liverpool game that it can be done, and we know there were particularly the Salah penalty and the Mane miss. I mean, Liverpool should have scored during the game, but you put up a pretty heroic performance, mate, to win that night, and it shows what can be achieved when there's a bit more unity on the pitch than that.
Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't rule it out. And again, I think Castagna's one at the moment you go, no, I ain't paying 5.3 for it. But I think people will have excess cash on free hit and might go, sod it. I mean, if you can afford it, what do you do there? Do you go Castagna or Lowton on a free hit?
You asking me?
Well, both of you. I think you'd probably go Castagna, wouldn't you?
It's not a lot in it, is there, really?
The only saving grace would be we play Watford.
True. But then they've got good attacking players in Dennis and King and that. Dennis is obviously staying now.
Bastard. Is it too late for them to change their mind?
We don't know it's going to be Watford. Yeah, listen, you might both end up playing Tottenham. Who knows? Or one of you. We're talking about Tottenham playing Leicester. Imagine it drops, Jack, and Tottenham are playing you instead. I can't see that happening somehow.
It's the weather forecast.
Would you make more of perhaps a longer term option, Aaron, and perhaps people on wild card maybe? Dewsbury-Hall. What'd you make of him?
Yeah, I thought you were going to bring him up actually.
Like him.
Yeah, he's a good little player. He's obviously at the start of the season, Rodgers, there was rumours that he could go out and loan again. But he said no, like he's come back, he's ready. When he first got in the team a couple of seasons back, for cameo appearances and stuff, he looked quite lightweight. But it looks like he's gone away. He's had a couple of seasons on loan last season at Luton, and he's come back a man, basically. He looks the part. I think when he's had his performances in the Europa League, he's looked a little bit kind of trying to feel his way into the team. Don't know whether he quite belongs at that level yet, but that performance against Liverpool was fantastic, and he's been playing really, really well last 2 or 3 games. So it seems like his confidence is there. He wants the ball. He's neat and tidy. He doesn't really get flustered. He's a good little player. Really, I think for wildcarders, he's worth considering because he's not coming out of that team anytime soon.
That's interesting. It kind of follows up the next question. I think he's a very interesting option as kind of a fifth midfielder if you're going 4 in midfield primarily. A good bench option, probably him and Jacob Ramsey's more expensive, 4.6. Probably feel like the 2 in that area. You think, oh, yeah, I'm quite happy to have that any week in my squad at the moment. But you think he'll stay in the team at the moment, yeah?
There's no reason he should be dropped. Not the way he's playing currently. I think he's found a nice little role for him there. And I mean, I guess maybe if we are full strength, then he might come out the side. But it doesn't look like we're going to be full strength for a while yet, does it? So
no, but I mean, midfield is the one area of your squad where you do look like you have some cover at least.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, as we said, as it stands now, I don't know if you might even try like Samari at centre back or something. And then with no one Diddy either, you're looking at Tielemans possibly playing a deeper role. Then I think Dewsbury-Hall definitely stays in the team. Obviously, Chowdhury can play holding midfield role, it's worth saying, as well as also 4.4. But you definitely go Dewsbury-Hall. I think he's one for wildcarders to consider as an interesting option. It's interesting to hear you say, you think he'll stay in the team at the moment. I like the look of him. I think
he is. He looked really good. He played really well in pre-season, actually. Got a lot of minutes in pre-season and really looked the part. And I thought he'd get a bit more game time this year. And obviously he's got his chance by with the way that the injury list is, but he's taken it. He does look good.
He looks calm on the ball to me. And it's interesting you'd see you saying in some of the Europa games, which is a really great kind of spot to try players out with other first team players in Europa League. He wasn't quite comfortable, but he looks comfortable the couple of times I've seen him, mate. And I know Luton fans really rated what he did on loan there last year as well.
Yeah, they were raving about him, weren't they? But I think they wanted him back. So,
what do you think of this Europa Conference League? Because Rogers made a very, very interesting comment after the night you went out at Napoli.
Yeah,
said,
that.
I don't even know what the competition is. Well, you're in it. It would be fair to say that the Europa League wasn't treated with 100% care. I think it's fair to say, but like, you're playing people like Daka, Iheanacho. Daka got like 4 in Moscow and stuff. You've got a pool of 18, 19 decent players to choose from. So I mean, it's inevitable you're going to rotate. But do you think there's a possibility you might just like blow that competition off? Just because his comments was weird, wasn't it? To come out and say, I mean, it's a trophy that you're probably the best team in it at the moment, probably yourselves and Roma. To say, I don't even know what it is. It's a bit weird.
I thought that was a strange comment.
Yeah.
Whether you want to be in the competition or not, you treat it with respect, don't you? So, you could read.
We didn't even turn up for one game, mate.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether you could read that either way, couldn't you? Whether he's just doing that to kind of play it down. But it's more games that we've got to play that, it's going to put strain on the squad. I think he said some of his comments were it's the worst it's been since he's been at the club as well, the injury situation and stuff.
And, I mean, you had plenty last season as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
without banging that kind of drum about, blaming injuries and stuff, it's pretty awful at the moment, isn't it? I know a lot of people have got players out and stuff, but it's crippling us at the moment. So, I could see him probably just thinking, probably just write it off a little bit. Depends how the draw goes and stuff, doesn't it, really? But...
Well, you've pulled out a Danish side, Randers, who I think were second from lowest ranked in the draw. So, I mean, you might put half a team out and might still win. You've got Liverpool away on Thursday the 10th, West Ham on a Sunday, first leg Randers the 17th, Wolves will almost definitely be Sunday the 20th. Then you got Randers 24th. Then you go to Chelsea on Sunday the 27th, although that fixture could be postponed if obviously Chelsea make the Carabao Cup final. I don't think there's a smart way for you to arrange another game, which is that Norwich and Tottenham have both got other fixtures planned. So it could even be that you have that Randers second leg, Aaron, and you got no game afterwards. So you might end up just going strong just because, possibly even. I don't know. It's a strange one. I mean, it's really difficult to predict actually how you get on with that, because I think he might try and bin it and he might still keep winning games in any case.
I guess it depends on how the squad is at that point, doesn't it?
Of course, if they're all back fit, then
we're not putting out a weakened squad. We're just putting out the squad that we've got.
Rotated team, exactly that. Yeah, absolutely. I presume it'll be a good area to give people like Justin Fofana, probably by mid-February, are probably going to be really close, get them some minutes and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Apart mentioned Dewsbury-Hall as well for Jack's benefit, because I don't know if Jack's noticed, but there's been some rather amusing stuff going on with the Twitter community over the last number of game weeks with Josh Brownhill. So Josh Brownhill's been sitting in a lot of teams since game week 1 and seems to have still been hanging around in people's teams, even though they've wild card. I'm not sure how, but in any case, it's been a rolling theme the last couple of weeks for these postponements. Josh Brownhill, your time is now.
Yeah,
and he's lost his place in the team.
Yeah.
What's happened, Jack?
I'm not sure. I think he had a bit of a niggle or an injury, and Cork's come in and like we know Dash just isn't one for changing the side. I think he's an obvious one to get back in. I think he's midfield's where I've been really poor at times this season, so I think it's a matter of time before he does win his place back. To be fair, I think Dice has probably just been either easing him back in or he's just favoured Cork. There's not that much in them, to be fair, but I think creativity-wise, Brownhill's the one you would want to go for.
Any love for Westwood on a free hit? Should have asked. Just because he's on the set pieces and that.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not against that. I mean, even money aside, we've seen how little we've been getting out of Gudmundsson and McNeil. So yeah, I mean, I think Westwood's at least got one assist that springs to mind this season from the ball he played over the top against Chelsea for the winner. Although that I think he played it over and then it took a touch off Rodriguez, so I don't think it was actually his assist. But yeah, I'm not against that. I mean, it's a bit punty, whichever one you go for. I mean, McNeil's the one, sort of price aside that you would think he's more likely to get assists.
I'm so disappointed because I really rate him, Jack.
Yeah, no, I really rate him. He's come under a bit of a stick, really, from some fans of late. But yeah, I think it'll come. He's definitely a hell of a player, and I think we've just lost a bit of rhythm at times as well with some of these postponements. I think Cornet's had a few niggles and stuff as well. So I think when we're at full strength, we have seen McNeil pushed over to the right hand side with Gudmundsson played on the left against United and he looked much better. With it being on his stronger left foot, whereas McNeil's better at sort of going past the man. So it probably suits him more on the right hand side. So I think longer term that there's definitely some scope for getting more out of him on that right hand side. But as we've said, sort of going back, we've not really seen regular numbers from him in terms of FPL and just general goal contributions. Really, Cornet's been the man.
Are you expecting any money to be spent this month?
Yeah, within reason. I mean, I've talked about it before. We're pretty fucked financially if we go down anyway. So I can't see us chucking loads at it. But we've been linked with a midfielder from Angers. There's been a few. We're starting to look a bit more further than just Stoke for our signings this season. So that's at least a little bit more interesting for us.
One of my favourite quotes of last year was from Kieran Maguire, The Price of Football, who, when we did the podcast investigating what wiggle room clubs had to spend on FFP, and you had kind of the majority of the big six were near the top. And I think you were about fifth or something. The wiggle room said that Burnley could spend about 150 million. And Kieran Maguire said basically that if Burnley spent that money, it would fuck the football club forever. Basically said that if they spent it and went down, the football club would completely implode. And so that's not obviously a real figure, but
we'd have to sell, I think, if it went down anyway, with the way Pace has taken over the club. It's a leverage deal like we saw with the Glaciers at United. So if the Premier League money's not there, we're in trouble anyway. So I get that, but
you might find that the fact that the club's been fairly sensible and sustainable for a number of years, you would think it's going to, with the parachute money, would put you in a real good position to come straight back.
We could go in for two.
So much now.
I've no problem with us going in, and we probably need a winger and a central midfielder. I've no problem with that. I just don't hold my breath with how we've been in recent windows. But then Pace went in and spent the money on Cornet. We've gone in for Collins, who's been terrific backup for Ben Mee and Tarkowski. So I'm slightly more optimistic than I have been in recent years with the window. We just notoriously don't see many players come in and do bits, really, do we, in January?
Hypothetical, but obviously it's well documented. Tarkowski's out of contract next summer. If Newcastle put a stupid amount of money in front of you, what do you think the club does?
We've got to ask more from Newcastle than what we would from anyone else.
Newcastle will pay more than anybody else. This is part of the point, isn't it? Newcastle might go, fuck it, there's 30 million, you're going down, we're staying up. I don't know.
If he plays like he's been playing for us, then
we can go.
No, I mean, we've been linked with Holgate from Everton today. So whether there's legs in him going to Everton, and
don't want to see what Sean at Spirit Blaze says about him, mate.
Yeah, but a lot of people say that about our players that come and sign for us, and then Dice does a bit of something with him, doesn't he? So I'm not against that. I'm more open to that because I'd rather him go to Everton, because I think they're going to at least steer the ship well clear of relegation. So I'd rather entertain that deal rather than him going to Newcastle. But
I'm not sure Sean agrees with that statement either. I think he thinks Everton are in trouble, mate. I think they'll be all right. Personally, they've got a very good run of fixtures.
I think it's probably going to be, if to accept to bid in January, we're probably, we rejected 30 from West Ham last year. And if we were safe,
got to be 25 from Newcastle now.
Yeah, 25, 30 from Newcastle, probably 15, 16, 17 from an Everton or a Leicester or someone. Yeah,
Aaron will have him. The problem is, though, you buy Tarkowski and then with Vestergaard, and then when everyone's fit, you've got like 7-8 centre-backs, mate. It's just the fact they're all injured at the moment.
I've tried to sell Tarkowski for years coming on this podcast, and it's about time we get rid of him.
Last time you tried, can I just say, this time last year, almost exactly, Jack, you tried to sell Tarkowski to Liverpool when they had all the problems, and then you went there and won. So, Aaron, watch your back, mate, is all I have to say to that. Guys, really enjoyable. Thanks so much for that. Let's do predictions before we go. I'm going to start with Aaron, though, because you've got a game first. Predict the game at Everton if you can, Aaron.
Oh God, could be anything, couldn't it?
It really could, yeah. Actually,
I mean, neither team can really defend at the moment. So 2-2.
2-2. I got it down as a 1-1. Jack, for the Leicester game.
You know what? You've given me a bit of positivity, so we're bound to turn the corner at some point. I'm going for our second home win, so I'm going to go 1-0 Burnley.
1-0 as well. Clean sheet. They've all just rushed to go and buy Matt Lowton, mate. Well done. And Aaron?
Yeah, I think Burnley could do us over, to be honest. I had sort of 2-1 Burnley in my head, so I'll go with that. I hope I'm wrong, but
interesting. That's really interesting. I'm going to go full house, actually. I think I'm going to go. I'll go 1-0. I'll go with you, Jack. The unexpected clean sheet. I'll go with it. I'll go 1-0 Burnley, but it's so dependent on what state you turn up in, I think, Aaron. Yeah. It might be that I watch you Tuesday night at Everton. You might play a fluid front three of Perez, Lookman, Barnes, and it might look really good. And you might think, oh, fancy them now. It's really difficult to say. I just think at the moment with the defensive and attacking injuries, I'm looking at it as well as a Tottenham fan and thinking, yeah, do you know what? Although you had a really good result last week, it might be a really good time to play you with the number of absentees you got. I'm thinking, yeah, throw me that fixture at the moment. That comment will come back and bite me, no doubt. Jack, where can everyone follow you on Twitter, my friend?
At Turfy Topper on Twitter for more ramblings about Burnley.
Good man. And yourself, Aaron?
Is just at Aaron Lagor.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for everything. Very best of luck for yourself, Aaron, first against Everton, and both of you for game week 22. Next week's clash of the correspondents is scheduled to be Aston Villa versus Manchester United with Lee Jackson and Gary Robinson, and I'll be streaming on YouTube tomorrow with my Ask James stream at 3 p.m. UK time. Thanks again to Jack and to Aaron. Cue music, please, man child.